Things change all the time. And before we get into the nuts and bolts of what I want to take you through today, I want to just talk about this for a moment. The way things change, channels change. One of the reasons a lot of brands are not in the digital or specifically the social media space is because every other week there is actually a new channel. So is it Facebook? Is it Vine? Is it Snapchat? Is that just for my kids? What's Mixed about? Every week, every month, we're hearing about different things. Things change. If you create a fantastic content plan that's part of your existing marketing plan, instead of focusing on a social media strategy or a digital strategy, you won't lose out, you won't be chasing the channel. The other thing I've learned is that broadcast really is so last century. What I see with a lot of brands is that we're shouting at people. So the same thing. If I stood up here and just started my presentation by saying, "Hi, I'm Cherylann. I started a company called We Collaborate, and I'm amazing. I know you're all going to like me. Please will someone say something nice about me? I'll give you an iPad," and then basically walk off. You are, honestly, I know, someone's thinking she's cooked, right? Because who does that? Who goes to a party and says, "Hi, be my friend. Oh, by the way, here's a free Samsung. Will you call me sometime?" Ridiculous, ridiculous. So we need to think of social media and of digital as part of our collective marketing strategy, as part of any other relationship we would be having. So speak to people as if they're people. And one of the things I take brands through is actually making sure that they create a persona around the brand. If your brand was a person that walked into this room, what would they be wearing? What would they be saying? Who would their friends be? It sounds a little ridiculous, but in fact, when you start unpacking that, you will make your brand more personable. Leverage your touch points and integrate. Don't throw away TV if that's working. Don't throw away radio. In fact, if you're doing radio, fantastic. Use Google AdWords, for example, because if people are listening to whatever it is on the radio, they're going to be searching for you. If you're doing something on TV or you're doing something in print, make sure that your digital strategy is an extension of that, not just a plug-in. And social media really is now far past this experimental, shiny, new object thing. And I don't want to throw out new lingo. I don't want to scare you with terminology that's going to make you think, well, what was it actually about? Now, actually, if you look around this room, and I'm sure some of these are your banners, but this actually looks very much like a real-world website. Sometimes you go onto News 24 or a website, and this is the kind of thing you see. You can't get noticed anymore because there's just banners and advertising everywhere. So being outstanding means that you need to stand out. You need to stand out in this day and age where you are bombarded with so much information. And so how do you stand out? You stand out by being authentic, by being unique, and by being true to your brand, not by trying to be digital, not by trying to be social, not by trying to be something that your brand is not. And perhaps, this is off the record, don't tweet this, no you can, but perhaps your brand doesn't have a space on social just yet. So what I want to talk to you about, and actually really it's about a tweet, is I want to help you build a framework, give you some thought starters, and get you thinking about how you can make your brand more digital. What is the social media hype all about? Let's have a think about this. Really, it's about connections. Like I said earlier, we were in a space where we were creating so much content, just broadcasting out whatever we could. We would take print ads and put them on Facebook. We would just tweet a whole bunch of things. Oh, Instagram, now we have to be on Instagram, and we'd go and jump into Instagram, Vine, or whatever it is. What social media really is, in its essence, is about building those relationships. So if we have a look at when the internet started, like in the 1990s, people were searching, they were looking for information. Very seldom would you find anyone producing content, but that's where we are now. So we shifted from people that were searching for information to people that were engaging, and we started then engaging with brands. And now, because we're all experts, of course, Everyone is an expert in social media. We are now producers of content. What a fantastic opportunity for a brand who finds someone that loves them so much that they will tweet, Facebook, Instagram, Vine, Pinterest, LinkedIn, and Google+, all of your cool stuff. Okay. What you want to do is connect with those people, create content that people want that's going to add value to them. So let's have a look at connecting. Connecting supports your marketing strategy. Connecting is about your communication strategy that already exists. Consumers feel that they have access to you. So think about it. Think about yourselves. You're also consumers. You go somewhere, let's think of somewhere exciting. You go to a restaurant. You have a bad experience. You tweet about it. You have a good experience. You take a picture of your soup or whatever you ate. You share it on Instagram. Yeah, I see someone laughing. Do you do that? Yes? No? Shaking his head. Denial, denial. Yes. We're either that person or we have a friend that is that person. So we have access to brands. I mean, 10 years ago, my mom would go to Edgar's, buy something on sale, not be able to return it, and then write a letter to the editor of the newspaper because, of course, the manager she could never get a hold of. And then the newspaper would actually reply. It was actually quite bizarre. Then we shifted and we would email people, caps, exclamation, exclamation, and they would hear us shouting at them about how shoddy their service was. And now we just go onto Twitter because we know that if we phone someone, we're not going to get hold of the right person. If we go onto Facebook, we'll probably, 4 or 5 hours, maybe the next day, someone will come back to us. Hello, pizza. Most brands don't really care. The telcos do. My broadband, if you're one of those geeky tech people like me. And if you just want an answer now, because they never even came back to you on Facebook 2 hours ago, then you're going to go on Twitter, and they're going to come back to you immediately. We know word of mouth, which is nothing new. Word of mouth is what social is about. But we used to have a conversation around the coffee table. Now, in fact, we have that conversation and everyone can hear us. So word of mouth is key from a positive and a negative perspective. And when someone mentions your brand in the social space, there's so much more potential for people to hear. So actually, I've been tweeting probably a couple of days ago about Perco. And what's happened is what I want to show you, if you aren't on Twitter, is how to set up Twitter and to get people to know about this conference. That's why the social is so important. And it's really easier for content to spread. And of course, the larger audiences. Your audience is no longer who you think your audience is. So what's happened is, if you are a car brand, say you BMW, you may think Mercedes is your competitor in terms of capturing that audience. But in fact, it's not. No longer. Now we have to look at categories. So what does that mean? That means that possibly Nike or Adidas or someone in a different category, but that's trying to capture the same market, is actually now a competitor. Because in the social space, they are getting the attention of the people that you want to get the attention of, even though they're in a different category. So what I want you to do is to just, throughout the day, think, who else is trying to capture my audience or my community that's actually not even in the same category as me? So what does social media allow? It allows brands, it allows you to have your pulse on what is really happening out there. Remember the old days when you're shopping, you're driving, you're pushing your trolley back to your car, and there's this lady with a notepad running after you. Sorry, please will you fill in this questionnaire? And you're like, oh my God, she actually saw me. And you try and put your groceries in and ride off. Now, those people hardly exist. You hardly find people that are actually doing real-world insights. The social interaction that it allows, the insights that we get from having a Facebook page, from having Twitter, from being active on Instagram, or in fact, you don't even have to be active in terms of creating content. You can just be an active participant in terms of creating a pseudo Twitter account or Facebook account, following your competitors, and seeing what people in your category are having conversations about. So the start of social media doesn't lie in, oh my gosh, now I have to create a Facebook page. It actually lies in the fact that you have the opportunity to get real-world insights and not even pay for it. It just takes a bit of time. But brands are hesitant, right? Why are brands that know all of the benefits, that know that they need to be there, that have the right audience, that have asked the right questions, why are they still not on social? And the reason for that is that they are scared. Because what if people say ugly things about us? The truth is, you don't have to put your brand on anywhere social, but someone else already has. Now, wouldn't it be fantastic if you were there to get the insights, to hear the feedback, positive, negative, or neutral, and actually have the opportunity to respond? So it's not so much about what if people say ugly things about us. They're going to say them anyway. So best we be there to hear them and to respond. Or else, what competitors will do who are active in the space is they will actually just hijack that person. So for example, a car brand got tweeted at because someone had brought in their car for a service, something small, and a week and a half later, they still never got it back. Opportunity. Another brand was following that on Twitter, hijacked that person and said, "Dear so-and-so, we will offer you a vehicle that you can ride and drive free of charge until you get your car back from your service provider that hasn't provided you with a good service." So social hijacking is something very real. Tricksy and sneaky, but real. So the perception of your brand no longer is the truth. The truth is the perception of what people are saying about your brand. So another example, I work with a very awesome food brand, and they have restaurants all around the world. The one person that was working for the brand, for the agency, was having trouble with the agency. They weren't happy with the person's performance. That person started saying to their girlfriend offline that this brand is just treating them so poorly. So the girlfriend goes to the brand, goes to the restaurant, has a terrible experience and tweets all about it. And now her boyfriend got reprimanded, and he was told that if this behavior continues as a brand ambassador, he'll actually be fired. So she just went and tweeted to everyone, "Oh, I had a bad experience at the restaurant. Now my boyfriend's been fired because he runs the social media." Nobody on social media checked with the brand. Is this true? Everyone just went crazy. How ridiculous. Close down your social media. If you don't know how to play in this space, and you can't take criticism, then you're a terrible brand. So reality is what people are saying about you. And in fact, I'm not even going to say you're no longer in control, because I think it's a myth that we were ever in control of our brand and our brand perception. It is what people say about us. And what a fantastic space to have in social to hear all of those conversations and to join them. So things to do to make sure that if you have the buy-in, or if you're still a bit skeptical before going into social for your brand, even for yourself, is to create some escalation grids. So write on a big spreadsheet positive, negative, and neutral things about your brand, your product, and your services. Okay? So that's positive, negative, neutral about your brand, your product, your services. And literally brainstorm with your team. And I don't want you to bring in your marketing team. I want you to bring anyone in your business, the accountant, the technical guy, whoever, and ask them, what are things that people can say about our brand that is positive, negative, and neutral? What can they say about our product or products that is positive, negative, and neutral? And then about our service. And then I want you to write down how you would respond. And they are human responses, not marketing responses. Not, "Thank you, Cherylann, for your inquiry. We have escalated it, and Susie from customer care will be in touch with you." That's not going to work in the social space. That's going to sound like I phoned a call center. You need to use the right monitoring tools. And there's a number of tools that you can use, and you can go onto Google and look for Hootsuite or Sprout Social. Those are two of my favorites. Hootsuite and Sprout Social are both relatively inexpensive. You do get something called freemium, which you can try for a month for free. And what that does is it allows you to, once you've created a content plan, actually to go and schedule various tweets, various posts. It also helps you monitor those positive, negative, and neutral questions or comments that come through. So it helps you to respond to them easier than having everything quite manual where you actually have to log on to Facebook. What it does is it collates everything into one space. So I don't think a lot of them don't do Google Plus yet, although that's very young for us in South Africa, but they definitely look after Facebook and Twitter, and they integrate. And I think integration is also key. Don't do anything in digital in isolation. And then from fright to delight, that means that you can, like good old customer service, with those good old customer service values in this new digital age, you can actually delight people. And delighting people doesn't mean that you need to reward them always. It just means that I want to be heard. I've had a bad experience. Can you hear me? And 90% of the time when you respond to someone saying, please direct message me, or please call so-and-so, or please let us know more information, very seldom do they come back to you because they just want to know that they've been heard. And you have to ask yourself, does it make sense for your business? And if it doesn't make sense for your business, then you need to ask yourself, what does? So the answer to what does make sense is really to start with the basics, and that is your website. So if you go onto your website for your company or your brand or a variety of products or services, and you actually go onto your website on your tablet or your phone, do you have like a bad experience? So does it feel like the sun is in your eyes and you have to pinch and squeeze and try and find something? Do you have a contact number on your website? If you're on your phone, can you click on that phone number and actually call? Or do you have to find that on the mobile website and then go and type it in? So is the user experience 2014? Is your user experience on your website 2014, 2015 ready? If you have content on your website, can you share it socially? And if you have website content, when last have you updated that content? Is the person that or the people that you've still got in the career section or on your listings of who your company people are, do those people still even work for you? You know, what delights have you had in social media if you are active that you can put onto your website? And how can you integrate little social media things into your website? So that's the basics. If you don't have your basics right, then don't even touch social media. Get the basics right, and that comes down to your website. What kind of content are you sharing? If you just have written content, you don't have any visual content, you need to make sure that you can prepare some visual content, whether it's a visual in terms of an image or a video. Because we know that people love sharing things that they can see, something that they can engage with, and we know also from the stats that more photos that are shared get more comments and more shares. And which channels do our fans potentially spend their time on? I meet with a lot of brands or a lot of C-suite people within companies that say, my kids are on Facebook. And I'm like, yeah, but you can't use them as a sample. You have to actually go back and see who is it that you're trying to reach? What behavior are you trying to change? What are you trying to get people to do in the social space? And maybe it's just all about Instagram and your website. Maybe it's all about Twitter. Maybe it's all about Facebook. You don't have to be everywhere. So now we get to some other cool stuff. So the difference between LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. I actually saw a cartoon the other day that said the difference between Twitter and Facebook is that Facebook makes you hate people that you know, and Twitter makes you love people you've never met. Quite interesting. The benefits of social media is that you can actually make sure that everything that you do is seen and noticed. It builds brand equity and it builds brand affinity. But with so many channels to choose from, where do you start? So I did something cool. I put together this grid. And again, don't worry about making too many notes because this is up on SlideShare already. So I'll share the link with you and you can just share it with people in your office, or you have access to all of this information. So there's a lot of information on here. And what I want you to do when you get back to your offices is actually to sit around with lots of papers, lots of colorful pens, and write down things that match Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn for your company. See where the benefits are, see what works for you, see what the platform does, and see who they target. But more importantly, have a look at the behavior. What's very interesting is Worldwide Works did, which I got a lot of this information from, did a survey recently, which they published less than a month ago. And what they said is that what's interesting is between 9 and 10 o'clock on Thursdays is where brands are getting the most engagement on Facebook. Now, what a fantastic thing to know. The other thing to do is have a look at your competitors that are active in the social media space. Have a look. Can you find a pattern of when they are tweeting? Do they tweet every day at like 9:05? Do they tweet every day at 11 o'clock? Do they tweet like one last time at night? What time do they stop tweeting? What time do they stop responding? How long does it take them to answer a query on Facebook? When last have they updated something on Instagram? When last have they put up content on LinkedIn? Or are they just using LinkedIn as a platform with stagnant content, kind of like a duplicate of their website? So sit with this information, have a look at it, see if we want to be in this vertical, in this space, do we tick the boxes? So I hope I've made it a bit easy for you. What I do want to ask you, or a question that clients often ask me is, okay, Shay, we get it, we want to be in social, we know we want to be there, but how do we create communities? And I found this really cool quote from Mark Zuckerberg. And he said that you don't create communities, they actually already exist. What you have to do is create cool content that the communities want. You have to create a space. So think about it, like, how do I create a party? Well, you don't really need to go and make friends to have a party. The party concept exists. All you have to do is create the venue, get the DJ, make sure that the tequilas are ready and the mojitos or whatever you're into is ready. And then you need to tell people about you so that they can come to this party. And the same thing with social media. Facebook specifically, if you are not on Facebook and your brand wants to go on Facebook, if you do not have a minimum of at least 5,000 Rand a month to spend on bought media, those irritating little ads on the right-hand side if they're irrelevant, or those very cool ads if they are relevant in your newsfeed. If you do not have that kind of money to spend on Facebook to get people to invite them to that party, don't do it, because no one will see your content. Facebook is not just a social media platform. Facebook is all about ROI. They're a business, they're a company that's growing. They've bought WhatsApp, they acquired Instagram. What they are doing is making sure that you spend money in bought media so that your content gets seen by the right people. There are two kinds of bought media on Facebook. Well, there's more, but the two that are important. There's sponsored stories and there are promoted posts. Now, promoted posts will share content to people that already like your post, that already like your page. And sponsored stories will promote your content to people that don't already like your page. So there's two things to consider. There's getting content to people that like your page, and then getting people that don't like your page but like your brand to come onto your page. It is a time-consuming exercise, and it takes a lot of commitment from a financial perspective. So make sure that you've thought about all of these things. What I want to talk about is specifically Twitter. If you have a tablet or you have a phone or you have a laptop with you, this is a good time to take it out. If you just want to listen, that's also absolutely fine. Like I said, this will be up on, or it is up on SlideShare, so you can have a look through it yourself. If you want to create a brand page, you can do that. There's a couple of things I'll take you through. And if you want to try out Twitter for yourself personally, remember, you can be anonymous. You can be Apple123, although 123 is a bit dodgy, and I actually mentioned that in some tips. But you can create a picture that has, a profile that has a picture of your puppy and a name that doesn't relate to you. And the reason I say that is not because I'm a stalker at all, but more because I want you, and I want to invite you to even just look, watch, listen, and see what is being said out there. And then you can go and you can actually change your username, or you can create your real profile and just share the kind of stuff that you want to share. A lot of people are like, I don't want people to know what I'm doing. Well, don't tweet about things that you're doing. It's actually that simple. Well, then what do I tweet about? We'll get to that in a moment. Okay, so if you want to grow your business, if you want to improve your relationships, and if you want to give people valuable content that will make a difference to them, Twitter is the place to be. It's personally my favorite social network out of probably the 12 that I'm active on. And what I love, someone had a wow, a what? Yeah, and I have a fiance, so I do have a life, I promise. What I love about Twitter is that it gives me news now. Okay, so if you're into rugby, which I can definitely see some in the room are, and I see a couple of soccer fans here, okay, you're on your date with your chick, you're like looking into her eyes, and you know, if you look just a little to the left at the TV, that's it. The only dessert you're going to get is off the menu, okay? So what the cool thing to what Twitter does is it actually allows you to just quickly check your emails or just check what's happening on Twitter, and you can actually go on to hashtag Barcelona versus Madrid or Bulls or Lions, and you can just look like you're just so passionate about what you work and what you're doing. And the same with girls, right? I know we also like sports and a whole bunch of other things, and so it just gives you that little side. It gives you the news as it happens. Okay, so if you don't have an email address, which I'm sure all of you do, if you have a work email address, don't use it for your personal Twitter ever. And make sure that your email address or your email is open at the same time that you're setting up your Twitter page, because it's going to give you a notification at the end that you have to click on and make sure that you activate your account. What I want to say about security is that password 123 is not a password. If you work for BMW, Cars 123 is also not a password. If you work for Nando's, Peri Peri Chicken is not a password. People will hack. I'm not a hacker, and I'm not even that smart when it comes to tech, but I have hacked into my clients' accounts because they have the most ridiculously easy passwords. 987654321. 0, because no one will think of the 0. Yes, they can think of the 0. They will hack into your accounts and they will change things, and you will lose all of that hard work. So personally as well, please make sure that your password is secure. So choosing a username. When choosing a username, first thing you have to do is don't panic, okay? Don't be like, oh my God, what's it going to be? And I don't know how young or mature the people in the room are, but if you were a geek maybe 20 years ago and you were on some of those dodgy IRC chat rooms and forums, you'd have a name like Sugar Bunny 69 or Warlock 2205 _. So that is not what we want to do on Twitter. People are going to think you are weird. You want to be who you are, or as close to that as possible. He's laughing. Were you that Warlock guy? Because I was Sugar Bunny. So you are 65. You do need to know that you can change your username after you've set it up. So choose something, or if you're planning it and you don't want to do it right now, just think about what is my username and have it as close to something as your name as possible. So you're going to say, but Cherylann, yours is my Lifescape, and that's not your name. So in 2008, I moved from Cape Town to Joburg. I actually grew up in PE, that's why I'm such a nice person. But I moved to Joburg, and I needed to make friends. So the first thing I did is I went onto Google. I typed in Google, networking girl groups, and I found a blogger girl network. Yay, I'm a girl. Damn, I don't have a blog. And in 2008, I didn't want people to know who I was, what I was blogging about, so I had a picture of my cute little ginger cat that looked like Garfield, and I created a pseudonym called My Lifescape, the way I see things, my life. And it stuck with me, and I've built this personal brand that people, it's ridiculous, but are like, oh my God, you're my Lifescape, yeah, I'll follow you. And I'm like, cool, I'm just going to go get another glass of wine there, thank you. But it happens. So build your brand, keeping in mind, you need to choose something that's smart, that can grow on you. So if you don't know what a URL is, that's fine. Come and ask me afterwards. I won't name and shame. If you don't know where to type it in, that's also fine. You can come and ask me, because there are still people in the world that don't know what that is. So you will put in your real name, Cherylann Smith. You will put in your email address, whatever that is, and then you will put in a password that people won't be able to guess. Then you're going to double-check your details. So you'll see there it says 0.3, and then I start with 3 again, just to make sure that you're checking. And then you're going to click Create Your Account. And you may be asked to fill in something that's called CAPTCHA, which will make sure that you're human and not a robot, that you're not creating dodgy accounts, and then you're going to receive your confirmation email. And it's important to go check your email, click on the activation link, and make sure that you can go straight into Twitter. You don't want to make your handle something random, as I said earlier. You don't want numbers, and you definitely don't want underscores. People will actually just think you're a little bit behind. It's not a bad thing. It's not the worst thing, but I don't recommend it. And then you want to personalize your account. And the way to do that is you'll see that little camera. The little camera needs a picture that's 400 by 400 pixels. If you don't know what that is, it's okay. It's a square. Anything that's a square that's big, that's not going to smush your face or make you look too blurry, you want to put there. You don't want a picture of a party that you're at. You don't want pictures with your godchildren on your lap. You don't want pictures with your teddy bear next to you. And if you've taken a picture in a room, look what is behind you. Always look what is in the room, because there are people. I worked with a cell phone brand. They were fantastic people that were tweeting about us. They loved us. I went onto their profiles. I wanted to ask them to be brand ambassadors. I found some very, very dodgy pictures of things that they probably didn't know was on the couch or on the windowsill. So check your pictures. And then 1,500 by 500 is for your header. And again, go onto Google Images, find a random picture, put something in your header, don't stress about that. But if you are an egg or you remain a camera, people won't follow you, they will think you spammy. Personalize your account. So if you have a look up, whoa, it's a bit dodgy. If you have a look up there, well, you'll see it will say South Africa, it'll say www.perco.co.za, it'll say when you've joined, and it'll give you some information. I followed lots of people that have been tweeting about the conference, and I have no idea, besides their name, who they are. I hardly know what they look like. The one guy, Fabulous, tweeting, and he's like leaning on his bucky. I can't see his face. I'd love to know who he is. Stunning guy. No idea what he does, and maybe that's the way he wants it. Kudos to you if you're in the room. And just make sure that you add as much information before you start following people. If you don't add the information, they're not going to know, do I like you? Do I want to follow you? Are you dodgy? Are you a bot? So on the top right, you'll click the egg. The egg will then drop down into a little list, and you'll be able to go to the settings and change your information, add information. Again, don't get caught up in oh, what do I say in my bio? Say something not about who you are or what you like. Tell people something different. What do you believe in? What do you love? What inspires you? Don't use that regular marketing jargon that you've got on your website. Use something exciting that people are going to think wow, this brand really gets me, or it's very exciting, or they've asked me something. And then make sure, again, that you just put your pick up. Tweet a few times before you follow people, and that really is your most valuable asset. The content is really what decides. Firstly, the bio. Okay, the person has a picture, tick, I'll follow them most likely. If they have a bio that's interesting, whoa, even more scary. And then I want to know, what are they talking about? Is it something I'm interested in? Is it something that's going to make me want to speak to them again? And if I met that person at a party, would I actually go up and talk to them? And even more important, I want you to ask yourself this question. If I met my online self at a party, would I actually want to be friends with that person? And if the answer is no, you need to go see a psychologist, because that's weird, okay? So you have to be who you are authentically as a brand and a person in the online space. A lot of people like to be someone different. That's not really what it's about. That is an @ sign, okay? We often see it when we send emails to people. In Twitter, what it does is it also connects us to people. It uses us, it actually uses the tweet to call on that person. So if you tweet @mylifescape and whatever tweet, really enjoying Perco conference or whatever you've learned, it will actually send me a notification and I'll see it. The same with Perco SA, and that's how you can get involved and tell people that they're missing out on this awesome conference. Then there's a retweet. So often we will retweet cool stuff that we love, and here is an example. This is the guy with his bucky that I thought was really awesome. Paul, are you in the audience? Ah, it is you. Okay, so he's enjoying it. No idea who you are, where you're from. You have no bio. And now see you, I'm going to speak to you, I'm going to find out more, and I'm going to help you update your Twitter profile. Okay, so retweet means that I like what someone said and I'm retweeting it. Stealing, which happens online, means that I'm going to copy and paste your tweets, put it in my little Twitter thing, and I'm going to sound really clever. I'm going to tell you out the guy's name before me, and I'm not going to retweet, and then I'm going to look like I just know everything. Don't do that. It's mean. It's horrible. So you want to retweet. You want to say, I've liked what that person has said. You can retweet. So you click the little thing that says retweet, and then in front of that, you can say like, yay, me too, hashtag awesome, or whatever you want to do, or you can just retweet. No pressure. And then direct messages. So why do we say, hey, at so-and-so, are we still on for coffee? Send the person an SMS or send them a direct message. The worst thing a brand can do when someone complains or has a compliment or a question is to say, please direct message me your information and we'll be in touch. If you don't follow me, I cannot direct message you. So don't be rude. Follow me, let's be friends, not me, follow the person, your customers, let's be friends and create that connectivity. And then a hashtag. So a hashtag really is a marker that you can follow conversations of people you do or don't follow. So anyone at this conference is hashtag PERCO-SA 2014 is having a cool conversation without you having tweeted anything, without you following them, without them even knowing you're on Twitter. You can go have a look and see what are people saying. And this is what I was saying earlier about brands and insights. Is have a look at what's trending. On the left-hand side, you'll see a thing that says trending, and there's all these hashtags. Click on that and see what are people talking about. You can create a hashtag. You don't have to, there are no rules. You don't have to know like, oh, how am I going to create it? You just put a hashtag and you write the word. Done. Creators of content. Okay, so what do we tweet about? Before I get to that, and I want to say, people have said to me, like, how do you have so many followers? And I'm really not that amazing that people just want to follow me. I've built relationships with people. I don't always generate great content, and I can honestly tell you that I probably lose about 5 followers a week, okay? Because people just aren't interested in this girl that's just happy and digital and art and on holiday and traveling. They just maybe just don't like that. So I lose followers, okay? How do I gain them? I thank people that follow me as often as possible. I thank them in a way that is personalized. So excited you're also a digital person, looking forward to your updates. So I've actually taken the time to read that person's profile to understand who they are and if they're going to add value to me, and hopefully I'll add value to them. And then also, I go and I try and find something that I can retweet about that person in the same week, within days that they have followed me. So I can see, firstly, yes, there is some interesting content because I'm not on Twitter all day. Not all the tweets come into my feed at the time that I am on Twitter. I do want to see what are the people that I've followed recently talking about. And if someone direct messages you, respond. Again, it's about real relationships. If you were having a conversation with someone in a corner, at the party, or at work, at the water cooler, you wouldn't just look at them after they've spoken and walked away. You'd actually respond. And that's what we want to do, yeah. So the media is all over this environment, and your reputation is so important. You never, ever want to say anything that's prejudiced, rude, derogative about anyone. And if you do, if you are the custodian of your brand on Twitter, and you have all of those accounts on your phone, do not drink and tweet. Okay? 5 years ago, we were worried about drinking and driving. Now we are worried about drinking and tweeting and Facebooking. The first thing kids do when they wake up after fab night is they grab their phone and think, oh my God, what did I put up last night? Okay? You do not want to be that person that goes by mistake onto your brand or company profile and is like, oh, the best night ever. And then it actually comes in your brand feed and not your personal feed. People get fired over those kind of things. Ask your followers for their opinions. What a fantastic tool to get real insights from your consumers. And if someone retweets or shares content, thank them. Again, it's just polite. And then reward fans. I actually got something from SA Airports last week. And I love art and I love traveling. So I'm always Instagramming pictures of places I've been to and things I've done, and art that I've exhibited. And they actually created a little coffee cup, and they printed out 2 of my Instagram photos that I took. and put it in a little box for me and wrote a note to say that my art has inspired them and they hope that this art has inspired me. And they drew one of the mosaic pictures that I took a photo of on this cup and personalized it for me. It was one of the most amazing things that I've gotten from a brand. And I really don't encourage being a brand whore, and I really don't even use that word lightly because that's what people are doing. They're trying to be influencers and they're just whoring themselves at brands. Give me free stuff, give me a car, I want to go on a holiday. Don't do that, okay? But they approached me and it was fantastic and I really felt special. Not because they sent me something free. They didn't give me a house, they didn't give me a car, they didn't send me on a holiday. They gave me something that was personalized. So if you're sitting here and you're going, this will never work for me, this whole Twitter thing, this whole social media thing, I encourage you to explore e-loyalty that is so personalized, people will just be amazed. Write this down, KLM surprise. Go onto YouTube or go onto Google, type it in, and have a look at that video. They did something really awesome with personalized gifts if you haven't already seen it. And like I said already, it's about real relationships. You have to put time in to be meaningful. It's not something you can create for a campaign. It is not something that you can do on the fly. It's not a quick fix. It is long-term relationship. You're holding the hand of that campaign, of that platform and of those people, and make sure that your brand is protected from anything negative. Know how you're going to respond. Be relevant and keep your customer database up to date. That can be with anything, products, services, competitions. It's not just a space for competitions. If the clients that you are attracting are only coming to your social media spaces because you have a competition, they are not the right people. The same example I gave you earlier. If you're only my friend because I'm really cool on Twitter and because I'm going to give you an iPad, you're not really the kind of friend I want. And real-time updates at conferences are exceptionally cool. You can offer customer support, and I think that's where we've seen a shift, and also our brands are scared because they're like, is this going to become a customer support channel? Well, it may well be, but what some brands do, like MTN and like Nike and Ernst & Young, for example, they actually have a separate channel and they direct people to that channel where they deal with complaints, and it's actually their customer service team that's answering phones or second-level customer call center people that are dealing with those responses. So they understand the brand, they understand the limits, and they also know that if Cherylann phoned in complaining about something and she's tweeted it, it's the same person. Know what you want to share and know who you want to connect with. And don't put super long URLs up onto Twitter. You only have 140 characters, including spaces. Use Bitly. Social media really must be an intuitive extension of what you're already doing. It is not a plugin, it is not a quick fix, and it is not a strategy on its own. I actually do a talk that starts with you don't need a social media strategy. The truth is you need a really hot content strategy, you need a website that is 2014 savvy, that is responsive. If you don't know what that means, go and Google it. It means that everything kind of fits into your iPad and onto your phone, and you're not pinching and trying to see what's happening. And if you want to drive brand affinity and you want to start something in social, start with listening, and Twitter is an excellent place to do that. This is my presentation. I put that really super long URL up there, but if you just go to SlideShare/Cherylann Smith, you'll see a whole bunch of cool presentations. I also have a little slide right at the end that just says, if I have used any images that don't belong to me, which I get off Google and they belong to you, let me know. But sharing is caring, so thanks very much.